A well-trained marksman can hit a mark about 900 yards away. Of course, this is stationary, flat land, specific point, making adjustments for the wind and distance. How about making the adjustments while you're on the fantail of a U.S. destroyer, bouncing up and down in the ocean, no wind breakage, and the shot's only through about a 6-foot windshield, 30 meters, 3 hostile targets that are armed, 1 hostage, 3 perfect shots of precision. That Easter Sunday in 2009 was a day for all to see how the United States Counterterrorism Development Group, or SEAL Team 6, Red Squad operates. Naval Special Warfare Development Group, or DEVGRU as commonly called, is the unofficial known as the SEAL Team 6 in the United States Navy component of the Joint Special Operations Command, founded in November of 1980 by Dick Marcinko. The requirements to be in DEVGRU and United States Navy SEALs, so in other words, you've passed your basic underwater demolition, your SEAL qualification, as well as your job MOS. Must be 21 years old or older. You've had to have at least 2 deployments on previous assignment, eligible for security clearance, and candidates from the East-West Coast SEAL teams and SEAL delivery vehicle teams, special boat teams or Gray Squad, the Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal teams, and the Navy SARCs. Enlisted candidates must be in the pay grades of E4 through E8, and officer candidates must be in O3 or in 04 through O4 to apply. They must undergo physical screening, psychological testing, and are interviewed to see whether or not they're suitable for the assignments that Naval Special Warfare Development Group would require. Through the green screening process, candidates are put through a variety of advanced training courses led by civilian or military instructors. This includes free climbing, land warfare, advanced and armed combat techniques, defensive and offensive, advanced driving, advanced diving, communication, survival, evasion, resistance, and escape training. SEER saves must perform at the top level during selection, and the unit instructors evaluate each candidate during the process. Selected candidates are assigned to one of the tactical development evaluation squadrons. However, unlike the regular SEAL Team 6 operators can attend almost any other military course to further receive better training depending on the unit requirements. Once selection has been made, the candidates will leave Green Team and either go to Gray Squadron, Black Squadron, Silver Squadron, Gold Squadron, Blue Squadron, and of course Red Squadron.
The Navy SEAL Sniper course consists of 12-hour days, 7 days a week, for 9 weeks. As far as the physical demand aspect goes, this course isn't as gruesome or strict as the Marines or the Army due to the fact that the SEALs have already gone through their basic underwater demolition training, or BUDS, which is a very demanding physical and mental beginner's course in the Navy SEAL program. The school takes place in Special Warfare, Coronado, California. The Sniper School consists of 3 phases. Phase 1 would be marksmanship, developing marksmanship skills, learning weapon systems, ballistics, etc. Phase 2 would consist of fieldcraft, stalking, camouflage, ghillie suits, etc. Phase 3 is the evaluation, where they may actually set them into platoons, have them go out and collect information and data doing training exercises. What's cool about the SEAL Sniper course is the variety of rifles they get to use. They have the MK-12 SPR, which is chambered in 5.56 sniper rifle, the MK-11, which is 7.62 51, kind of medium range, MK-13 bolt-action rifle that fires 300 Winchester mag. The rifle is accurate over 1,000 yards and considered a flat shooter, also made popular by Chris Kyle, the American sniper. There's the Macmillan TAC-338 Lapua sniper rifle, fires with a new Lapua round. You have the MK-15 long-range bolt-action rifle, chambered in 50 caliber BMG, the M82 50 caliber anti-material rifle for extreme long range, and even the M14 magazine-fed gas-operated automatic rifle, still used to this very day by the Navy SEALs, with new modular designs for it.
Somali piracy is a phenomenon where criminal gangs have been operating from the Somalian coast, attacking and hijacking international vessels for ransom. They blame this on the lack of fish, of overfishing the waters in the area. and became a significant threat in the year 2005 especially. Despite past efforts to suppress it, the attacks currently were at a moderate level. Concerns remain due to persistent factors like illegal fishing, lack of central governments, and naval piracy. Over 30 countries have deployed naval forces to combat piracy in the region of the Indian Ocean, but these efforts are not completely eliminating the threat. Somalia has been destabilized due to the civil war in the early 1990s, including the Battle of Mogadishu or Black Hawk Down incident. After the 1998 United States Embassy bombings, the USS Cole bombings in 2008 in Yemen, which was followed by the September 11 attacks in 2001, the U.S. Navy decided to step up its activities around the Horn of Africa and by the Red Sea. On April 8, 2009, the 4 pirates based on the FV Windfar 161 attacked the ship armed with AK-47 assault rifles. A crew of 23 sailors, 17,000 metric tons of cargo originating from Salah Oman was bound for Mombasa, Kenya after a stop in Djibouti in the Gulf of Aden. The Maersk Alabama was carrying 401 containers of food aid from USAID, serving God Ministries, the World Food Program, and Catholic Relief Services. All 4 pirates between the ages of 15 and 18 years old, according to Secretary of Defense Robert Gates. When the pirate alarm sounded, Chief Engineer Mike Perry brought 14 members of the crew into a secure room that the engineers had been fortifying for such a purpose. As the pirates approached, the remaining crew fired flares. In addition, Perry and First Ascension Engineer Matt Fisher swung the ship's rudder, which swamped the pirate's skiff. Nonetheless, the ship was boarded, and Perry had initially taken main engine control away from the bridge. Fisher had taken control of the steering gear. Perry then shut down all ship systems, and the entire vessel went black. The pirates captured Captain Richard Phillips and several other crew members minutes after boarding, but found that they could not control the ship. Perry, armed with a knife, remained outside the secure room, lying in wait for pirates who were trying to locate the missing crew members in order to gain control of the ship again, and presumably sail it back to Somalia. Perry tackled their ringleader, Abdul Moose, and took him prisoner after a cat-and-mouse chase in a dark engine room. Moose, whose hand was cut during the altercation, was then tied up, and his wounds were treated by second mate Ken Quinn. Later, after suffering in an overheated secure room for hours, the crew attempted to exchange Moose for Phillips, but the exchange went awry and the pirates didn't release Phillips after Moose was released. When Phillips escorted the pirates to a lifeboat to show them how to operate it, the pirates fled in the lifeboat with Phillips as a hostage and $30,000 in cash taken from the safe in the Maersk, Alabama. The United States military is so successful because of utilizing speed. The Army's 82nd Airborne, or the Marine Corps' Marine Expeditionary Units, are well known for how quickly they can mobilize and deploy. Both are special operations capable units. It's a large force capable of mobilizing in about 15 hours. Well, what about a smaller force? Commandos that can respond faster, be able to do surgical strikes, deal with hostage situations and other counterterrorism activity. And that is where the development group are step in. Members of the dev group, SEAL teams, are all on short call operators capable of planning these surgical strikes on the fly, such as development group's Red Squadron, due to the hijacking of the Maersk, Alabama. What the gang of Somali pirates didn't realize, but when they took the Maersk, Alabama ship, is that Captain Phillips had already put out an SOS in the USS Bainbridge, as well as the USS Halliburton, were within 300 miles, already on their way towards where the hijacking took place. United States Navy, Naval Special Warfare, had decided that they would want to send in a team of United States Navy SEALs, Development Group, Red Squadron. And the fastest way for them to mobilize and catch up with the 2 ships would be to fly over and parachute in. So on April 8th, the United States Navy guided missile destroyer, the USS Bainbridge, and the guided missile frigate USS Halliburton were dispatched to the Gulf of Aden in response to the hostage situation. Halliburton, carrying 2 SH-60B Seahawk helicopters on board, the ships reached the Maersk, Alabama early on April 9th. Maersk, Alabama was then escorted from the scene to the original destination of Mombasa, according to sources stating the pirate strategy was to await the arrival of an additional hijacked vessel carrying more pirates and additional hostages to use as human shields. The standoff began on 9th of April between the Bainbridge, Halliburton, and the pirates on the lifeboat from the Maersk, Alabama, with Phillips held hostage. Lifeboat was covered and contained plenty of food and water, but lacked basic comforts, including toilet or ventilation, as well as the drug cot, which Somali pirates were all very commonly using at that time, similar to cocaine or methamphetamine. So between the heat, no ventilation, feces, and their withdrawal from that cot, they were willing to hear negotiations. On April 9th, the standoff was getting nobody anywhere. A development group, or SEAL Team 6, had parachuted in, and they were approximately 3 miles away from the standoff. Negotiations weren't working as well or going as well as planned, however. The lifeboat did run out of fuel, and they were able to speak with the pirates and talk them into being towed to the USS Bainbridge. They're approximately 240 miles off the coast of Somalia. The pirates had agreed to allow them to tow them as long as they towed them back into the mainland where they could meet up, and then they would do the exchange for the ransom money. And although the media made it look like an escape attempt, Captain Phillips had actually fallen out the hatch using the restroom. As the standoff continued, the waves beat down on the lifeboat, as well as the 2 injured pirates inside needed medication and medical care. The captain of the bandits, Muse, finally agreed he would board and negotiate the hostage switch out. The SEAL team had arrived at the USS Bainbridge and boarded. This is when the standoff escalated. SEAL Team 6 had boarded the USS Bainbridge. Negotiations between Commander Castellano and Somali pirate Captain Muse were underway. Meanwhile, the lifeboat from the Maersk, Alabama, containing 3 other pirates and Captain Phillips, was approximately 25 meters in tow behind the USS Bainbridge. When Castellano determined that Phillips' life was in imminent danger and ordered the action, President Barack Obama had previously given orders to take no action unless it was determined Phillips' life was in immediate danger. Vice Admiral William Gortney's description of the final events: just before the shooting, Captain Phillips was topside of the lifeboat. 1 pirate was behind him, pointing an AK-47 rifle at him. The head and shoulders of each of the other 2 pirates were also visible above the deck in the enclosed lifeboat, determining that Phillips might be shot at any moment. The commander ordered the action. Castellano stated, "We ultimately believed the pirates were about to kill the captain. That was the decision point." U.S. Navy SEAL snipers on Bainbridge Fantail opened fire and killed all 3 pirates remaining in the lifeboat. The Bainbridge had the lifeboat under towed. A 4th pirate was aboard Bainbridge, Mute, and taken prisoner at this point. Navy evacuated Maersk, Alabama's Captain Richard Phillips to the Bainbridge and then flew him in by helicopter to the USS Boxer for a medical evaluation. Muse, the surviving pirate, was held in the USS Boxer's afloat brig. It was eventually flown to the United States to stand trial. Prosecutors brought charges in a federal courtroom in New York City that included piracy, conspiracy to seize a ship by force, conspiracy to commit hostage-taking. Muse lawyers asked he be tried as a juvenile, alleging he was either 15 or 16 years old at the time of the hostage-taking, but the court ruled that Muse was not a juvenile and would be tried as an adult. He later admitted that he was 18, pled guilty to hijacking, kidnapping, and hostage-taking charges of piracy charges. He received a prison sentence of 33 years and 9 months. 2 former Navy SEALs have claimed participation in this rescue: Matt Bissonnette and Robert J. O'Neill, both also participating in Operation Neptune Spear, which was the bin Laden raid. Captain Phillips was returned safely to his family. Of course, wrote a book, film about him in that endeavor. Development Group, or SEAL Team 6, to this day still operates and continues to do counterterrorism operations, being the quiet professional. However, some do tend to make news in the media and whatnot, and so we get a rare glimpse of what really goes on. However, what we do know that they have done and accomplished are some of the greatest deeds done in the military. The United States Navy Special Warfare continues to train our warriors with the ethos of the quiet professional. Some of the most lethal marksmen, to ever come out through history and remain anonymous.